Hey, what's up everyone, Gunpla here. Today we're building the Entry Grade Strike Gundam from Gundam Seed. I've been wanting to make a fully painted perfect strike for a while now, especially with all the new optional parts available for the Hyleo, sword, and the launcher packs. And with the latest edition, the gun barrel striker, it feels like the perfect time to go for it. To do that, we obviously need to build the strike first. So this will probably gonna be a two-part video where in today's video I'll build the strike first, and on the next one I will work on the rest of the optional parts. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. And this is what the Entry Grade Strike Gundam looks like straight out of the box. Before anything else, I used this optional part set for the manipulator for a more expressive hand. This set comes in 3 different sizes, and for this project I used the medium one. First thing first, my plan was to recreate the strike from the episode 1 or 2 when it only used the knife or dagger to defeat the Gin, but it turns out that this kit doesn't even include the armor Schneider, which is what the knives are called. This particular set only includes the rifle and the shield, which by the way, I think I'm gonna put it away for now until we get our Hyleo striker pack, okay? You actually get those knives if you buy the Entry Grade Strike Light version instead. But again, that version doesn't include the rifle and the shield. Oh my god, this is confusing. I have to make one from scratch then. We'll see. Back to the strike itself, there's not much going on here besides its simplicity, yet it's a solid entry grade kit. For around 10 bucks or less, you pretty much get everything, except the dual knives, of course. The color separation is pretty nice, especially on the head. Just look at that, even though there aren't any single stickers, the eyes are still color separated, along with the gray areas around the cheeks. But we're missing the camera lens on the forehead. Still, it's pretty cool though. Next up, the articulation on this kit is actually decent. There's a nice hinge around the arm, allowing it to bend a bit more toward to the front. Plus, the torso has this huge ball joint, giving it a wide range of articulation. Honestly, it's more than enough for this kit. You can pull off pretty much good variety of poses with it. My main complaint, however, is that the ball joint holding the legs together here are really weak. They pop off easily every time I try to move them, even a slight touch and they come loose. It makes posing this kit pretty frustrating. I feel like I need to mod it somehow later on. So that's pretty much the highlight for this Entry Grade Strike Gundam. Now it's time to do some customization. The first thing I want to make is obviously the armor Schneider, since we're missing that. So I try to sketch the knife first on the paper until it looks what it is supposed to look. In order to fit the hands, I need to know the size of the handle, so I measure the rifle's handle for reference. Because if I use that, it will automatically fit the hand, right? After getting the measurement right, I start drawing the final version on the pla plate. The one I'm doing right now is some kind of bezel only for the handle, which will come back in a second. So here's how it works. First, I grab these 2 pieces of pla plate and glue it together. This will be the base of the handle, okay? Next, the one that we cut before is the bezel. Remove the middle part like so, then we glue it to the handle base like so, cut every excess of the pla plate with the cutter and then clean it with a file. And now we have something like this, simple yet effective. Next, I made this for the connector between the handle and the blade. Just simply glue it together with the handle and give it a sand. Now what's left is the blade. I again draw the blade on the pla plate. This time, I don't know, it's far from the one I sketched before because I tried to match the dot here on the pla plate. After that, I stacked the sketch with 4 layers of pla plate, which is 4mm wide total. After that, I cut all the excess with the cutter, followed by a mini grinder and all kinds of sanding tool I have, until it matches the outline and it looks something like this. For now, the blade is still just a rough blocky form and we need to sharpen it. To do that, I first apply this panel masking tape like so to prevent those areas from being sharpened. Then I just sand it very slowly and carefully on both sides, just like you sharpen a real knife. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I think it's working. I also tried to sharpen the tip of the blade, hoping something would happen with the shape of the knife. I think it's done, and now let's try to remove the tape, and oh my god, it looks amazing. How is this possible? I don't even get it. Like, it sounds silly, but I don't expect it to look like an actual knife. I mean, look at that shape. It looks so good that you can really see the sharpness after we sanded it. Anyway, I then glued it with the super glue to the handle we created earlier, and we got ourselves a pair of knives from scratch. Again, it looks so amazing, I really love it. Now let's test it on both hands and it fits perfectly. A little bit on the larger side, I think. And when you pose it like this, it looks awesome even though it now looks like a regular combat knife instead the one that's specifically for the strike. But I think it's fine. Now moving on, I want to fix this issue with the tie joint on the waist. My plan is to replace it with this junk part. I think it's from the Ground Gundam or Blue Destiny, which I don't remember exactly. As for how to replace it, I will probably gonna insert this piece of runner to create a spot for the joint to attach. First, I remove the old ball joint with a nipper, drill it with the hand drill to make a huge hole like so, and simply insert the runner like so. After that, I reinforce it with super glue to make it stronger. Now let's try to attach the joint on the mount here with the leg. And it fits perfectly. But now we have a new problem. There's quite a big gap because of the new connector is a bit longer than the old one. So either I reduce the length or increase the height from the tie itself. I feel like I want to reduce the joint, but at the same time, I also feel like the proportion just feels right after it extended a bit. So I'll probably gonna do both, which is not ideal, but let's just do it. I grab the old connector and cut the peg here, grab the new one and also cut the peg like so, sand it a bit, and simply glue the old peg to the new connector like so. And now the gap is gone. Next, slice this whole tie with a handsaw, then grab this two 1mm pla plate. Using a cement, I try to stick these two parts together with the cement like that. Make sure everything is perfectly aligned. Now just remove the excess pla plate by cutting and sanding it. Don't forget to remove the one on the inside with a grinder like so. And now the tie part is fully extended. I also added some pla plate here off cam between the gap because somehow the gap just getting bigger. But now it's fine. To balance the overall proportion, I did pretty much the same thing here around the torso by increasing the height with pla plate. At first I wanted to extend the arm a bit, but after looking into it more, I feel like the length is just fine, no adjustment needed, right? Next up we have the front skirt to deal with. Since we extended the thigh, now the front skirt looks smaller than before. So let's fix that. What I'm about to do here is add some body on the lower section of the skirt. So first I stick some pla plate with cement like so, just as a guide for later. I grab the display epoxy putty and knead it until both parts are evenly mixed. Then I place it on the front skirt like this. Gently press it down so it sticks properly to the parts. After about an hour or so, before it fully cures, I remove the pla plate, leaving us with this result. Then after it fully cured, I give a quick sand on the front part to flatten it out like so. After that, I start sketching on the putty to shape the front skirt. I wanted to make a more defined angle or more simpler one, just like the Master Grade Strike I think. I think that will do. Then I cut along all the lines I drew earlier with a handsaw. After that, I slowly sand the edges to match the line precisely. This part was a bit challenging because the line created a slope toward the edge. And this is what it looks like now, pretty clean. Now I just need to work for the other side. Okay, now this looks so much better than before, right? Now I feel like I need to extend the side a bit. I simply use a cement to attach the pla plate, then sand it like usual. And now we have something like this. Okay, it turned out really nice. I really like it. But isn't it too plain? So I want to create something that I've never done before. Like, you know, some kind of van that you carve manually. Let's try it. First, I grab this, a stencil, and trace a line according to the guide here. After that, maybe just start carving right away. So I tried first with a hobby knife to slice through the edges here. Maybe that's not a great idea, so I tried to use a chisel this time. And I began carving the line with the guide tape here. And continue using a hobby knife like that. I also tried to use a wider chisel here, which is the 0.6 or so. At this point, I just blindly carving this whole section here. I don't know, guys. Okay, time out. I think this might be a tools issue, or maybe even a skill issue on my side. I mean, the shape is kinda there as you can see. No, but seriously, I think I need a wider chisel for this kind of work. Right now, I only have the 0.1 and 0.6 size. Maybe we'll give another shot next time once I have the full set of chisel, okay? As for now, let's just patch it with the pla plate, okay? And call it a day. Oh my god, this is so bad. What have I done? Now for the side skirt, I am not the biggest fan for the design here. So let's first custom it by removing this triangular thing here on the side. Grab this pla plate, add a super glue and simply attach it like so. Remove all the excess pla plate with a sanding stick until it becomes something like this. And yep, if you see here, I already filled the gap between with the body. Next, I have the simple detailed part which I made beforehand, a basic rectangular pla plate with the end slightly carved using a chisel. Just simply glue it onto the side skirt like so, and now it becomes something like this, so much better now. Moving on to the torso, a couple of things I want to customize are, first I want to raise the chest a bit, and this metal frame here is too plain, so I'll do something about it. First, I grab some masking tape and trace the line with a dot following the edges like this. Then I made these 3 layers of pla plate, and put the masking tape from before on top of it. After that, I just cut it and now we have some kind of trapezoidal prism here. Since it's too blocky now, I trimmed the edges to make them slightly slanted for a cooler and more aligned with the front chest, if that makes sense. And now we have something like this. All we need to do now is just attach it on top of the chest like so. I then trimmed the edge here a bit because the shape feels too stiff at the moment, and yep, it looks better now. Next, I want to add some additional layers on both sides, so I sketched it out first here on top of masking tape, moving it on the plate, and now I have this piece right here. Attach it to the chest like that, give it a sand, add a couple of panel lines, and now the top of the chest looks something like this. Lastly, I want to add some small detailing parts here, so I grabbed this pla beam, sand the edge a bit to give more slanted edges, then I cut it into a smaller piece, glue on top of the added piece from earlier, and sand it to make it even around the back here. After that, I add the same pla beam and carefully place it on the back side like this. And now we have this. Now I want to custom this part right here, which is the, outer frame. So I draw with a pen on how it's gonna be, then I just carefully cut it out with a hobby knife following the edges. After that, I sanded it to clean it up, and now it looks like this. Moving on to the arm now, I want to custom this area here around the elbow. I personally think this plating here is weird and awkward. So I want to change it to make it more like the one from Master Grade Strike, which you'll see in a bit. First, I cut this entire section and then sand it down until only this section remains. Then I have this piece which I cut from pla plate, simply attach it to the part before with super glue because I want it to stick super well. Then I try to sand both sides evenly to make it as symmetrical as possible. I then use a sanding sponge to smooth out the edges and make them less stiff. This is far better than before, right? But now we have some little gap here. But worry not, a simple putty will solve this gap here. To make things more interesting, I carve a line to divide the front section of the arm here, and put the whole front section with the pla plate, so it looks like a separate part now. Pretty cool. Moving on to the shoulder, we have this hollow section here underneath the shoulder, it's not entirely bad, but I think I wanna fill it with something. So I'm gonna grab some builder part here, which is the thruster set, this one, and then the plan is just simply put it underneath it, which I know it will probably reduce some of the articulation, but let's just do it anyway. Because the thruster won't easily fit inside the shoulder piece, I need to destroy some of the inner frame here a bit. And now let's just slide the thruster here, and yep, it sits perfectly there. Still on the shoulder, I then carve a thing and two just to add some details and make it more cooler. I also add an additional pla plate here on the frame to add an extra depth into it. And this is what the whole arm finally looks like. Now for the legs, I didn't do much besides some minor customization, like adding panel lines around the calves here, and some small pla plate pieces across the leg. For the kneecaps, I did the same thing as what I did at the body frame, cutting at inward angle to make it look more like the Master Grade version. And that's pretty much it for the major customization. The rest is just panel lining and minor detailing across the kit, which will take forever to go through, but honestly, it looks fantastic so far. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Next, I'm going to wash everything with this soap, and then we can move on to painting. Starting off, I'll be using this Mr. Surfacer 1000 Gray for the base layer. I spray this color on all of the parts because this time the goal here is just to make a simple default strike color scheme. Next, for the white color for both arm and legs, I'll be using the MS White, which is from the Mr. Color Gundam series. I never used this one before, so let's give it a try. After painting it a bit, it looks more into a slightly darker or grayish white compared to the regular white I usually use, which looks great. Still on the white part, I want to try this gray as a secondary color. You know, like you see in a real grade, like the off-white or something like that. So I grabbed the seed color, which it's turned out it was an aqueous, not a regular Mr. Color. I didn't read that. So according to their website, this color is water-based, therefore you can just thin it with a tap water and use a brush to paint it on the kit. And this is the paint that I already mixed with a couple drops of water. Let's try to brush it on this part right here. I just gently apply the paint here like so. And yep, it's fairly easy and the result, as you can see, seems pretty good. And here are the other parts where I paint the same off-white. Looks awesome, I really like it. Next up, for the inner frame, I mixed these two colors, which is the dark sea gray and semi-gloss black. For the torso, I use Mr. Color Character Blue. For the back of the torso, where the thrusters are, I applied enamel gray over the blue. I use enamel because it allows me to easily erase any excess paint around it with an enamel thinner. And just like that, we got the thruster color separated. The same goes for the back skirt right here. Next, I use the Mr. Color Red Matter for the lower torso and both feet. I don't know why it's so glossy here, but I'll take that. For the hands and some of the thruster, I use Mr. Color GX Metallic Black. The same goes for the knife since I'll be painting it silver later on, so this will be the base color to give a more metallic finish. Talking about silver, I use the regular Mr. Color Silver and carefully spray it onto the knife. The result absolutely stunning. Just look at how it shines. For the V-Wing and the eyes, I use the RX-78 Yellow. Since yellow can be a bit tricky, I use white as a base coat to make it more appear. And to save our progress, I applied a layer of Mr. Color's clear gloss for protection. So far, the colors are pretty simple, but hey, they look so good together, right? I really love it. And now it's time for inking. Grab the Tamiya panel liner and whoa, don't panic, okay? We can clean this up later. With this, I just fill in all the panel line across the kit. It doesn't have to be super clean for now. After that, I want to pop up some details, so I brush this section on the chest with the gray enamel. Same goes for the shape on the torso and all the small plug plate thingy across the leg. For this ugly section here on the front skirt, I used the black enamel to make it look more hollow. Yep, something like that. Really hope it covers up all the messes. After everything is done, it's time to use the enamel thinner to remove all the excess paint. And finally, my favorite part, the water slide decals. This time, I'll be using a third-party water decal from Otakiri. I think it's a local brand from my area and I've never used it before. At first, I want to use some real grade strike decal, but since I couldn't find one, or I don't know if that even exists in the first place, so I'll be using this instead. This is actually a decal for the Master Grade Strike version RM, but it's scaled down for 1/144 scale. So I will try to copy the decal placement for the Master Grade version RM. Now let's just try to cut the decal and soak it in water. Then I apply mark setter here on the calf and slide the water decal like so. Looks nice. Let's try a bigger one here on the front skirt. Again, just slowly slide the decal into place. And look at that, you can clearly see the face safe armor text without any issues. After applying all the decals, I noticed a weakness with this particular water slide decals. They are completely immune to mark softer, which means they won't conform to curved areas or sink into panel lines. After reading the description, I think it's because these decals come pre-top coat for extra durability. The trade-off, however, is that they resist mark softer. So in areas like this, I have to manually cut along the panel lines with a hobby knife to make them reappear. It's not such a big trade-off per se. The quality of the decal still looks pretty great. I still love it. And now for the very final step, I'm using the Mr. Color Super Clear UV Cut Flat for the finishing. This is my favorite top coat so far because I really like a flat finish. And I sprayed on all of the parts except the knife. And with that, we're practically done with everything we need to do here. So now let's assemble it. First up, let's get a closer look on the head and the torso. Really love how the upper chest has become with all the plug plate like that. Like, it looks natural, I don't know. A little bit messy though with the detailing, but I think it's fine. For the head, I ended up adding some line and color separation with the off-white here around the cheeks and the V-Wing. And it looks really nice. Next up, we have the waist. Oh my god. Take a look at the front skirt here, which I kinda messed up earlier. Wait, I think it's actually not that bad when you look closely enough. I mean, it could be worse, but honestly, I think it's okay. Like, the patch with the plug plate really did its job covering the messes we done earlier, but yeah, I think it's fine. Anyway, here's the side skirt, which I really like compared to the front one. And now, let's just attach the body with the waist together. Next up, we have the leg. And why is there a clown face here? Anyway, the leg looks super nice. Again, the off-white looks really good here, like on the ankle guard for example. Also, there's something I want to point out regarding the thigh, but for now, let's just attach it to the waist slowly and super carefully. I just don't want it to break again. The same goes for the other leg. Lastly, we have the arms, and just look at those forearms. I'm super proud of how they turn out. The shape of the lower back forearms here looks great, and again the off-white aqueous colors make it look even better. Really love it. Here's the shoulder, which I think also looks great with the extra thruster on the inside. And now we just plug it on the torso like so. And this is what the strike looks like after putting everything together. This looks amazing, right? The proportion turned out pretty balanced. I was kinda worried that the arms would look too short, but honestly, I think they're fine. I don't know about you guys. And the decals, they really enhance the overall look. Even though some of it didn't stick perfectly because of what I mentioned earlier, it still looks great nonetheless. So, my only concern right now is these two pointy parts here on the torso. Since we extended them earlier, they feel really fragile. One of them has already chipped off, as you can see here. But it should be fine now since I applied super glue before painting. But still, I kid you not, my hands are super sweaty holding this right now. The same goes for the thigh. It has split in half 2 or 3 times already between the original parts and the plow plate for the extension. I've also taken care of it before painting with some additional putty, so it should be fine. Thankfully, it still looks smooth though. Lastly, the so-called armor Schneider. It doesn't look anything like it now. It's more like a regular combat knife, but it's still awesome, right? And I still cannot believe how I managed to pull this off, like the sharp pointy edges here still blowing my mind. The silver also looks beautiful here. And that's pretty much it for the entry grade strike. The build is now done and it's time for a spin. And there you have it, the Entry Grade Strike Gundam fully painted and a little bit of customization. So what do you guys think about it? Is it cool? For me personally, I think it turned out pretty great even though it's not the perfect build. Obviously, there are really some serious issues happening on some of the parts. Maybe I do really need to pay more attention to some of the parts' durability or aim for more a solid build. But overall, it's a fun build, I must say. Strike is just a cool Gundam, I really love it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching my build, and if you did, consider giving this video a like, leaving a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe because in the next video I will be making the perfect strike with all the optional parts. See you in the next build. Bye!